So a bunch of Democrat congressmen, after Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, have flown down to El Salvador. So last week, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen flew down to El Salvador, met with this Kilmar Abrego Garcia, or the Maryland Man, as a bunch of us have been known to call him. And he confirmed that the guy's alive. They sipped margaritas, and he's working to get him back here. Well, probably not going to happen. The El Salvadorian government has absolutely no obligation to follow a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, as it turns out. Now, am I comfortable with the way that Trump has been maybe taking some liberties? No, not really, but it is what it is. And we can't make the El Salvadorian government send him back here if they don't want to. He's their citizen. We can't. That's completely unrealistic. So after Chris Van Hollen went down there, confirmed the guy was alive, wrote home to the family, whatever, a whole bunch of Democrat congressmen decided to fly down there to grandstand. I mean, that's literally the only reason, was to grandstand. There was nothing to accomplish down there other than to get their names in the papers. That was it. And when they got down there, they were turned away. The El Salvadorian government said, no, you don't need to meet with this guy. Someone already came down here. They confirmed he's alive. You have absolutely no authority down here. By the way, you guys want to talk about privilege? How much privilege is behind thinking you can fly into another country and demand they send one of their own citizens back on a plane with you? You want to talk about privilege? You want to talk about entitlement? That's a real unhealthy sense of entitlement there. So you got one congresswoman who is now refusing to leave. And mind you, none of these people are even this guy's district. They're from like Florida, and they're all over the country. So you got a congressman that's now refusing to leave until they send this guy back. This is the same thing as the celebrity saying they're going to leave America if Trump wins or whatever. She'll be back in a week. I genuinely hope she stays down there, though. Make this your big thing. Make this your big deal. And that's the thing, is this family, or whatever it is, of this guy, they've got to realize that they're being used as a means to an end here. These politicians that are down there, they don't actually care about you. Like, I see Megan Hunt go up in front of the unicameral and say somebody needs to go down there and get him. Okay, why don't you? Why? Well, you're a state senator in Nebraska. You're voting on a bill about banning fake meat, and you're using it to talk about a guy who was living in Maryland, an El Salvadorian citizen who may or may not be an MS-13 gang member being shipped to an El Salvadorian prison. Shut up! Shut up! Vote on hey, Megan Cunt, my property taxes are still nuts. Fix that. If only you gave a tenth as much of a damn about your district that's falling apart and everyone's getting priced out of their businesses down there as you do about some guy that may or may not be a human trafficker getting shipped back to his home country and stuck in prison. That's the other thing. This guy's name came up in a human smuggling case. That's where the MS-13 allegations came. Now, he may or may not be an MS-13 gang member. I don't know. Let me ask you guys a question, though. How many people do you know? How many good people do you know that's name, whether they're gang members or not, that's names would pop up in a human smuggling case? Do you know any? Is there anyone you get beers or coffee with? Or that you invite over to your house to watch a football game or have a bonfire? Or anyone whose wedding you've been at that's name would pop up in a human smuggling case? Anyone you would associate yourself with at all that's name would pop up in a human smuggling case? So maybe he is a gang member, maybe he's not. I don't know. But I think we can assume that if your name is even remotely associated with human smuggling, well, you're probably somebody we don't want in this country. Because had he applied to be a citizen legally and gone through the legal route to be a citizen, and they ran his name and his information through the database, and they're like, hey, this guy may or may not be associated with a human smuggling thing, they never would have let him into the country to begin with. So I don't know why someone who came through the border illegally gets more rights than someone who tries to do it legally. Why are they afforded more grace than somebody who tries to do it the right way? That's the thing. If you applied for residency or a green card or citizenship or whatever and tried to do it the right way, and they ran your name through the database, and they're like, hey, you were mentioned in a case regarding human smuggling. Any comments on that? It would be an automatic rejection. They wouldn't let you in the country. Which I also find hilarious is that all these people that came over here and skipped the legal process to become legal citizens are now demanding due process under the same law. Does anyone else see the irony in that? Now, I see that Trump posted a tweet with the guy's hand tattoo. There's a marrow on his knuckles. He's got a marijuana leaf. It's like a number. No. It's a fuck, what is the... Let me pull the tat. I can't... I can see it in my head. Real quick. It's a marijuana leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. They're claiming that means MS-13. I don't know. What I find to be a tad bit odd is the fact that in photos where the hand is on display on his wife's Instagram posts, she uses emojis to cover up the knuckle. Now, look, everyone's got one tattoo they got when they were young that it was like, maybe I shouldn't have got that. But not everyone's being accused of being a member of one of the most vicious gangs in the country, or in the world. Excuse me. Not everyone's name is allegedly tied to a human smuggling case. You know what's crazy is despite all of the explosions about this and all of the explosion in the media about the stock market and tariffs and yada, 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 Trump's approval rating really hadn't changed all that much, which is actually really reassuring because it means that people are seeing through the bullshit. It means that they're no longer, while those dinosaur media outlets still dominate the game, people are no longer relying on them as the sole source of news. It's shows like this one that you all should share around and like on Facebook and join the group. But shows like this one, and obviously much bigger shows than ours, are providing people with a way to see through the bullshit, to see the forest through the trees. And I think what people are seeing, because Trump, he may drop like a point or two, but for the most part, his approval rating has been pretty static, which is unheard of for him because he's always had low approval ratings, even in his first term. So what that says to me, because if you look at the Democrats' approval rating, that's been on a steady downward spiral since the election. That's continued. Like they've continued to drop, the Democrats have, in their approval ratings in these poll numbers. So what that tells me is Trump's 80-20 rule is working. It's not even an 80-20 rule, what Trump's doing. It's like this is like a 95-5 rule. Like keep in mind he's doing this strategically. Right? So he said, we're going to deport everyone who's in the country illegally. I came on here the day after he got elected. I told you that wasn't going to happen. Right? So everyone was expecting this big, just shock and awe campaign. They were expecting, ICE raids at every door in their neighborhood and all over the country and empty farms where they were just picking people up and shipping them back. That hasn't happened. Instead, what he's done is he's targeted the people that were known criminals that the Biden administration has let slip under the radar for a long time. Known violent offenders, known gang members, and people who are affiliated with these gangs. And he sent them back. So now you've got these people that were worried about just the Hispanic lady that wants to come into the country and be a maid and send money back to Mexico or whatever the case may be. They were worried about her getting swooped up in a black van and taken down to El Salvador and thrown in prison. That hasn't happened. And they're like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. It's called sandbagging, right? You set people up for the worst case scenario. And then when the worst case, we do it with our budget every month. It's like if we bring in the bare minimum amount of money and our bills are at an all-time high, how much money are we going to have left over? And then anything on top of that's gravy. It's the same thing. You set people up for the most extreme scenario, and then you give them one that's not near as extreme. And they're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And now they're seeing, because they're listening to shows like this one, they're seeing that the people that are getting shipped away are fentanyl dealers, child sex predators, rapists, murderers, people that got drunk in a DUI and killed somebody, and just monsters that have no business being in this country. They're not here legally, and they came here and they directly victimized American citizens. And not only are they saying that those are the only people that are getting deported, they're seeing the Democrats side with those people. Now, do I think the Democrats actually like fentanyl dealers and child traffickers? Well, some of them might, but for the most part, no. I think the difference is Trump's playing chess while they're playing checkers on this issue. The Democrats are still operating by the old rules, the old media tactics, as if we're in the 2000s or the 90s or even like the mid 2010s, where they can get away with this, where they can just say something and there's only 4 or 5 real outlets for the masses to get their news from, and that's that. They just assume it's true. What they don't realize is people aren't stupid. The Democrats are still operating under the assumption that the populace is uneducated and that they're dumb and that they can't see through the lies. The lies that says these are families getting ripped out of their homes and shipped into an El Salvadorian prison. No. Yeah, maybe they get 1 or 2 wrong. Nobody's perfect, and that's not right, and they should make it right if they do get something wrong. But for the most part, these are monsters, vicious, rabid dogs getting sent back to where they came from. And the public sees one of 2 things. They either see, oh, the Democrats are gaslighting us on this and trying to pretend that we're too stupid to see what's really going on, which is that it's the worst of the worst that are getting shipped out of the country, or they see the Democrats just defending fentanyl dealers and child traffickers. So it's really been a masterful plan by Trump here to back the Democrats into a corner and make them not only back the Democrats into a corner, but a softer blow to the general public that was maybe a little uncomfortable with deporting everyone that was in the country illegally, while simultaneously backing the Democrats into a corner and making them defend just the worst types of people humanity has to offer. And he's like 4 steps ahead of him because they still haven't figured it out. They still think if they can go up there and say, look at these rights violations of these people that are being thrown away. And then they show these pictures of these prison camps in El Salvador. And they show these guys with gang ink all over their heads. And they try to compare it to the Holocaust. I literally saw a tweet with that picture side by side next to a picture of a Nazi concentration camp. How insulting is that? I mean, do these people have no shame, or do they just really think you're that stupid? Do they really think you're that stupid to compare Jewish people and whoever else that was thrown into Auschwitz with MS-13 gang members that were in this country illegally, committed violent crimes here, and shipped back to where they came from? Do they really think we're that stupid? I think they do. And it's like I said, if they continue to operate under the assumption that we're that stupid, they're going to continue to lose. If you thought the Republicans had a disappointing 2022 midterm, just wait until the Democrats roll into 2026 with fentanyl dealers and pedophiles and human traffickers as the folks they're trying to align themselves with. And I know there's a tweet going around with satellite images from this El Salvadorian prison. And it's a day-by-day, side-by-side comparison. And one of the comparisons is out in the yard. They show that it's been stained some type of crimson or red. And they're saying, look, Bukele, the El Salvadorian president, is executing these people down there. He's doing the dirty work, taking out the trash for Trump. First off, I don't know if that's what's going on. Second off, if it is, guess what? You hear that? If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you know what I'm doing. I'm playing you a song on the world's smallest violin because I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Those people that are going down to those prisons, the worst of the worst, if Bukele wants to line them up and shoot them the moment they get there, I do not give two squirts of piss because I think we should have done it here. If you're in this country illegally and you commit a violent crime against an American citizen, or you sell poison to people that kills them like fentanyl, yes, we should hang you. I have absolutely no problem if Nayib Bukele wants to take these people in an El Salvadorian prison, line them up against the wall and shoot them. Because you know what? Now we don't have to worry about the pedophile illegal MS-13 member coming back into the country and terrorizing his victims even more, or creating new victims or whatever. Now we don't have to worry about that fat bitch that was dealing fentanyl down in New Mexico, coming, or California, wherever it was, coming back into the country and killing somebody else's kid. She's gone. She's no longer a problem. They're not American citizens. Doesn't bother me. And you know what? There's this guy who was the president for 8 years named Barack Obama that did a drone strike on an American citizen over in the Middle East. That guy didn't get due process, and he was an American citizen. And none of these people cried about that. None of these people that are outraged about what's allegedly going on in El Salvador were outraged about what Obama did to an American citizen. Not once. The Awalaki, I can't pronounce those names. Awalaki. And that wasn't the only American citizen Obama killed. They killed 3 others by accident. Not a word. Al-Awlaki was just the only one they did it intentionally to. And you want to know what else? Chief Justice Roberts, who's one of the people throwing a fit about what Trump's doing, saying he can't deport people without due process. Get this. Eric Roberts, the Supreme Court Justice, who's saying that Donald Trump can't deport non-citizens without first giving them due process, even if they've committed crimes, also said that Barack Obama was within his rights to kill an American citizen via a drone strike without giving him due process. These people do not support you. These people in these positions of power do not represent you. There is absolutely no ideological consistency to it whatsoever. Whatsoever. No, you're not an American citizen, bro. You don't get due process. That's guaranteed to us. Not someone who comes over here illegally, sneaks across the border, and kills somebody, or rapes somebody, or sells fentanyl and kills hundreds of people. You're not entitled to those rights. You're entitled to a flight back to El Salvador, and you know what? He's going to do with you what he's going to do with you down there. And people may think that's harsh, but that's a different part of the world. That guy's got problems you couldn't imagine down there, being in charge of El Salvador. He has to put that shit down harshly, or you get what you had in El Salvador for decades, which is a lawless country that's overrun by gangs and drug cartels. He's doing what he's got to do. That's all there is to it, man. Now, here's my other thing. When we hear about this Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy, when we hear this Maryland man, or whatever you want to call it, when we hear about this Andreas guy, the gay makeup artist that supposedly was wrongfully shipped down to El Salvador, they make it seem like this is some big epidemic. That, oh, they keep shipping all these people down. That's all the wrong people. And they're talking about all these human rights violations. Okay, great. Name one other that they got wrong. Because they've sent, as of today, approximately 46,000 people. Not a huge number, actually, because they're doing pointed strikes, right? They're doing pointed deportations. They're getting specific people out of the communities. But they've shipped out 46,000 people. You guys have named 2. Now, I'm not a math major, but I don't think 2 is a significant percentage of 46,000, even if those 2 are both wrong, which we don't even know because you've stopped talking, because that's all you talk about. And there's no way in hell you're going to let us have a fair conversation on it. So of those 46,000, according to you, they got 2 wrong. Worst case scenario. If this is really this ongoing problem, let's hear some more names. Let's hear some more names. Seriously. Because right now I've only heard 2. And we don't even know that both of those are highly speculative that they even got them wrong. If this was really this ongoing mass human rights violation, the way you make it sound, you'd talk about more than just those 2 people. You'd have a whole Say Their Names campaign with posters and photos up, and every family's crying on television. My dad got ripped away. He was just working an honest job. You don't see that. They've got 2 specific people because they need to have a face to what they're doing, because otherwise they're just defending pedophiles and fentanyl dealers and human traffickers and murderers and rapists, which is their voter base, if you want to be honest, but... Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.